we, the jury, find the defendant, Gabrielle Nestande, guilty of the offense of criminally negligent homicide.
Tonight, we take a closer look at that verdict and what it means as the jury considers her punishment.
Now, developing news from KXAN News.
After more than a day of deliberations, the Austin jury reached a verdict in the case of Gabrielle Nestande.
Jurors announced that verdict this afternoon. They found Nestande guilty of the charge of criminally negligent homicide. Jurors ruled that she is not guilty of the separate charge of failing to stop and render aid.
So what does this verdict mean? Let's go live to KXAN's Chris Sadeghi at the courthouse.
Well, the jury decided they did not have the evidence to convict on either of the manslaughter charges or failure to stop and render aid, but they did find that a deadly weapon, in this case the car, was used to commit criminally negligent homicide. So what that means is they still can levy a jail sentence from 2 to 10 years. They can also sentence Nestande to probation. That's what each side is fighting for in this sentencing phase that has begun. In this phase, the prosecution wants to show the void left when Courtney Griffin's life was taken and hope Nestande is sentenced to prison time. They started by showing baby pictures of Griffin, talking about her life. This phase will concentrate heavily on the type of people Griffin and Nestande are. Bart Griffin testified about the day he was at work and picked up his phone to find several missed phone calls.
One was from the Austin Police Department, and I thought, oh my God, rich kid now. I mean, what have they done? Something I'll never forget when your own daughter has to call and tell you that somebody's been killed, that Courtney was killed, and that they left her on the side of the road.
And Bart was the only witness for the state. Bruce Nestande, Gabrielle's father, testified on his daughter's behalf. Now, the jury will be sent home tonight, and then they will come back in the morning. They'll hear closing arguments of the sentencing phase before deliberating on how long Gabrielle Nestande should be sent to prison, if at all. We're live at the Travis County Justice Complex. Chris Sadeghi, KXAN News.
Looking closer at the charge Nestande was convicted of today, criminally negligent homicide, since jurors decided her car was a deadly weapon that made the crime a third-degree felony, and that carries a punishment of between 2 and 10 years in prison. The Travis County jury is deciding that punishment as we speak.
We've been following this case since day one when Austin police were called out to the scene of that hit and run. Now, here's just a quick look at the timeline. Police got that call in the early morning hours of May 27th, 2011. And then a tip about Gabrielle Nestande's car in a driveway with a broken windshield. That was just one of the items shown as evidence in this trial. She was arrested later that morning at the state capitol, where she worked as an administrative assistant for State Representative Wayne Christian. Nestande was first charged with failing to stop and render aid. But it was not until late October of last year when the DA pursued the additional charges of intoxication manslaughter and manslaughter. Again today, the jury found Nestande guilty of the lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide and not guilty of failing to stop and render aid. Jurors will go home for the night before deciding her punishment, and then they'll take up the case again tomorrow morning.